Okay, so I'm continuing of how the physical form, how this vessel could sustain itself in this starting to become a manifested planet. And they realized they were required to move fast, because they still at that time had interdimensional access, but they didn't know for how long. Because obviously if they used their common sense, which they still had then. They said, okay, we have to hurry this up, because if we don't finish this in time, we're not going to have access to this expression. And so they went and searched for that which manifested this planet in the first place. And the Atlanteans said they were just here. It's sound. We manifest the sound placement, which is the Earth's core for gravitation, which is sound. Everything is just sound. So this is the manifestation of sound. And then they realized an interesting thing, which is the following. Who talks? Who speaks? What speaks? Because they were also formed, but interdimensionally. Then they started wondering, but am I this form? What is speaking here? Is it the form that is speaking, or is it I that is speaking? What is this I? So then from there, they wondered, where do I come from first? Because if they knew their origin, their design, probably they will be able to understand how to design and manifest a vessel to be able to exist in this world. Now at that time, as I've said before, remember I said in terms of where exactly Anu's planet was, Anu's city of gold. They wanted it to be here in this world, in the Earth's core, right there where they are manifesting the gold from. But of course the Atlanteans said no, because they don't want two races sharing one planet. And so Anu's city of gold was interdimensionally in this universe, very close to Earth, not very far, almost right next to it. And so they're required to understand where they come from first. They went to Sacha from Alcyone to find out where do they come from. And they found an interesting thing. They found books, scrolls, scripts, conscripts, way back, asking the exact same question with no answer. They did not know where they come from, how they got here. The question never was asked. Well, the question was asked, of course, I mean, way back still. But they couldn't even have found a point of where the beginning is in Sacha's library of Alcyone. It was just questions, but where do we come from? Investigations. And then this one being, which is of Anu's race, one of his forefathers, wrote, and he said, if I am not able to find my origin, I must be the origin. And it's an interesting insight, because no one could seem to have found the point, the actual starting of creation, of why they're here. And so Anu looked at it and he said, shit, I am the origin, meaning I must be the creator, I must be all this creation. And with that realization, he found more documents, more scripts, scrolls of his forefathers who played with creation, played with manifestation, but not manifestation, interdimensional manifestation. And in terms of the design of the planet itself, the planets on which they built their cities, their planets, one with their expression, was actually designed by the Anunnaki forefathers, who played a role in it. Of course, were then, as I said, the Sirians, specifically the serpents. The serpents were the original race, the Anunnaki derived from the serpent race. So the serpent race itself was was the older race of existence during that time. They were really mean, not pleasant beings. But they didn't bother anyone ever. No one ever bothered them. You know, it wasn't like that. Everyone was just remaining on their planet, in their city, and they just did what they were there to do. So everyone stayed away from the serpents. I'd say, in terms of existence, the serpents were the devil, and the Atlanteans were God. You should place that picture of heaven and hell type thing. The rest were ordinary, were like the people, human beings. And so the Anunnaki were like the son of the devil, the sons of the devil, which is the serpents. But the Anunnaki and the serpents never really saw eye to eye. And the Anunnaki quite despised the serpents. Everyone feared the serpents, actually. And the serpents feared the Atlanteans. It's not really fear, it's just don't go there. And so Anu went back and he looked more at his forefathers' scrolls and scripts that was written in the library of Alcyone, etc. And he found that what his forefathers played with that he hasn't ever known, that no one known, was with creation. And so what is it called? It's called the Book of Ani. That was written by the Anunnaki race themselves through their creation processes that they've discovered. The point of that book was written when Anu's forefathers realized, if I'm spoke the word, it starts with, if I'm not able to find the point of origin, I am the origin. With that realization, they played with all sorts of expressions, creation. So they actually manifested planets, which is where cities were built, races moved in, if you want to call it that. And because previously, races, everyone existed interdimensionally. They had their cities, but they didn't have a specific placement, you know, like a planet allocated to them specifically. So that's what Anu's forefathers did. They designed planets in its forms, which is sound, playing with sound. So they kind of went to all the races, you know, that existed, and they said, listen, we're able to design a planet for you alone, on which you're able to manifest your city and yourself, which is one with you, and you're able to have your own galaxy. How would you like that? Okay, so this is me, Jack. I'll continue in my next interview. Thanks.